All right, I'm out in my shop today and I'm taking a look at the new Siemens FSPD140 surge protector. And in particular, I'm going to compare it to their original FS140, which is this first surge. So the new one's called the Boltshield, very similar part number, and the old one was just this first surge. And so what I wanted to do was a short video comparing the two, talking about the advantages and disadvantages of each. All right, so first thing you notice is that the new one, this Boltshield, is quite a bit smaller than the old one, right? Just physically, it's a smaller device, which might lead you to think that it doesn't offer as much protection, but as we'll see, that's not really the case. So it's physically smaller, which is, I think, advantage of the new model. If you make something smaller and it offers the same protection, that's great. It has a different end on it. It has this little nipple end, and that's important to know. The old one had this female thread where you'd put a fitting in it, some piece of conduit, and then it would route over to the panel. And the old one also had a flush mount, so you could mount it flush to the wall quite easily. The new one is different. It does not have a flush mount on the bottom, and it has this nipple mount, so it's meant to go directly into the side of the panel box. If you can't get it close enough, you can, of course, extend it with a little piece of plastic tubing and then mount it into the panel box. But it's meant to go in the wall attached to the side of the panel box. So for some people, that's great. That's very, it's out of the way. It's easy to do. But for other people, it might be inconvenient. Maybe their wall's all sealed up and they can't get it in the wall to mount it on the side of the panel. So in that case, you can certainly cut out a piece of the wall and put in like an access panel, and that's probably the right way to do it. That way you can see the indicators easily by just opening the access panel. So that would be the way, sort of the ideal way of doing it. If you didn't want to do that and you wanted to mount it to the wall right beside the panel box, you can use a small bracket that just goes up over this nipple here. And then there's a nut that seals it to it. And that would the bracket would mount it to the wall and allow you to mount it flush mount to the wall. So we checked out a whole bunch of different brackets and found one that works really well for this purpose. So I have that here as well. So physically, a smaller device with a different mounting system, doesn't have a flush mount by itself. You'd need a little bracket if you're going to try and flush mount it to a wall. All right, so that's the most obvious things. The other one that's obvious is that the wires, I didn't cut these back, the wires are much shorter on the new Boltshield model. They're about 18 inches instead of 36 inches from the original FS140. Now, I think that's a distinct disadvantage, frankly. If you put it in the wall and it mounts right to the side of the box, then it's probably just right. You can route right inside the panel and you're all done, and you didn't need the extra wire anyway. But if you were going to flush mount it on the wall, you might have to figure out a way to get these wires to work, whether they extend them or otherwise, and that's not always ideal. So 18 inches versus 36 inches is another obvious thing you notice. And then finally, just looking at physically, you'll notice there's another set of wires that come out of the Boltshield that are not present on the normal FS140, and that is these dry contact wires, which are really meant to be like remote alarm wires. So you could route these off somewhere else and have an indicator somewhere when, let's say, the unit failed or when you lost power, something like that. And they have some instructions on that. Most people, I think, probably won't use them, and then you just cut them off and tape them out over the top. But they're there if you do want them. It's a plus. You don't have to use them, certainly. The other wires are exactly the same gauge as the ones from the FS140. All right, so that's sort of the physical things that you notice. Let's talk about some of the specifications next. So if you pull out the data sheets on these two products and you compare them, many of their characteristics are summarized on the sides of the boxes themselves. So if you just pull them up and read them, you can pretty quickly compare how they do. Now, the first thing to note is that both units have the same surge spike capacity, is what Siemens calls it, but it's its surge capacity, a single large surge that has been shown to not catch the unit on fire, if you want to talk about it that way. And they're both at 140,000 amps, which is why their part number is, FSPD140 or FS140. So they have the same surge capacity from a single very large powerful surge. That's great, especially if you're in a smaller package. But there are some differences from there, okay? So the first one is, if you look down the sheet here, you'll see an IN rating, which is a nominal discharge current rating. And for both units, it's 20,000 amps. All right, now what that is when UL tests these devices, and both units are UL listed, you'll see the little gold labels on them, but when UL tests them, they inject a series of pulses, like 15 pulses to it with very specific timing, and they verify that the units can withstand those surges and remain operational. And so both units, the maximum they'll do is 20,000 amps. So it's not like we know that's where they both fail, but we know that they both pass at that level. And so they both met the maximum level that UL would test at for that IN, or that nominal discharge current, right? So they both sort of get a tie there. They're the same. They both get great ratings on that. The next thing to note is the voltage protection rating, or VPR. Now that's very important because that's really like the limiting voltage that these units will allow to get past them, all right? That the value of voltage they need to fully turn on and start limiting the amount of current that can go into the house. And so they have different values. The FS140 is slightly better. It has a 600 volt / 900 volt, where 600 is from line to neutral, let's say, and 900 is from line to line. And the FSPD is 700 / 1200 volts. So 600, 900, 700, 1200. So the FS140 is better because it keeps the voltage down lower before it fully turns on than the FSPD140, all right? With that said, there's not a drastic bit of difference between 600 volts and 700 volts. So I don't know that it's a discriminator that I'd worry too much about, but it is something that you notice, all right? All right, so our next metric we're going to talk about is the short circuit current rating, or SCCR. Now that's not the same as the surge rating, right? That 140,000 number. And it's difficult to define exactly what that is, this short circuit current rating, but it has to do with the suitability of the surge protector for a given system. All right, now our breaker panels are typically interruptible up to about 10,000 amps if you read the breakers. So these are much higher than the capacity of our panels anyway. So what I like to think about is the SCCR is more of a measure about durability. How many frequent surges could it get and survive? And I'm not entirely sure that's 100% the best way to think about it, but it's the best I can come up with. So the higher the better, okay? The FSPD140, the new model, has a 200,000 amp SCCR, and the FS140 has a 100,000 amp SCCR. Now, I don't know how that's tested. I suspect it's probably not done through a large, powerful surge or anything like that, maybe done through analysis. So I don't know how much it really matters that they're different. They're both very high, which is good. But if you wanted to say it is a measure of the durability to be able to withstand surges over time, then the FSPD 140 would get the advantage there since it has a higher number. All right, so that's the short circuit current rating. So the next thing to point out is both of them have indicators, green and red indicators to indicate they're getting power, and then when there's a failure, they can detect when there's a failure in their internals, which is very good. Many surge protectors can't do that. But by the way, just because surge protectors have a green light doesn't mean that they're actually monitoring for the health of the unit. They're just monitoring for power coming in. In the case of these Siemens products, both of them do monitor for the power coming in, and then if there is a failure, it switches over and lights a red light to tell you there has been a failure, which I like that about these products. They also both have an audible alarm, all right, which is great because especially if it's mounted inside the wall, you would never see the lights and you might not know that you've had an internal failure, but you'd hear this alarm go off, and it's not a jarring alarm. It's kind of just sort of a low-pitched alarm that you'd hear if you came out, let's say, near the panel. You'd hear this alarm going off. All right, so that's kind of the gist of all of it. Now, one obvious question that came up is, how'd they make it so much smaller? I mean, it's not much different in height, maybe just a little bit taller, but it's quite a bit smaller in footprint. And I have taken these FS140s apart before, and it's pretty well done. They're very well designed, very rugged, and very efficient in the use of space. So I'm curious too. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tear open both of these units and get out the circuit boards, and we'll take a look at those circuit boards and we'll see what the difference is. We should be able to tell what kind of metal oxide varistor protective devices they have, how many of them, and just in general the layout of it, whether this is a single board or multiple boards. The FS140 is definitely a single board. But anyway, we'll take them both apart. we'll take a look at the boards and we'll see if we can learn anything from that. All right, so I have the two circuit boards out here. Let's look at this black one first. So this is the FS140. This is the original larger Siemens FS140 design. And it's a very simple design, which I've always liked. The traces on the board are very thick. That's why it takes a lot of current. It has 5 banks of metal oxide varistors. These 4 go from line to neutral and line to ground for the 2 input phases. And this one's between neutral and ground. And it's a very conventional design. Takes a total of 20 MOVs, which can be costly, but effective, I think, in terms of design. And then the rest of these components are really for the alarms, the red lights, and this is a little speaker here for the alarm. All right, and there's nothing on the back other than some LEDs that shine through the enclosure. So a very simple, very effective, durable design, I think. Not the smallest footprint you can do, but it's actually quite good. And then this is the new one, all right? This is the FSPD140. Now it is, as you can tell, not the same at all. It's very different. It uses 2 circuit boards, all right? And it uses MOVs, but they're very different. They're not these conventional disc MOVs. They're these rectangular MOVs here. And these first 2 here, they're these large rectangular, they are sort of dual purpose. They go from line to neutral and line to ground, all right? So they give you both of those features, which is nice. And they have some capacitors in here as well. And then over on the end is another MOV, sort of a single one. These are duals. And the single one goes from neutral to ground. So it's still the same 5 MOVs. There's 1, then there's 2 here kind of stuck together, and then 2 here stuck together. So there's 5 of them, but they're very different than these parallel versions. Instead, they use these larger versions here. And I don't know, there's no part number on these MOVs, so I can't look them up to compare the specs to see how they do. But obviously they're rated, you know, about the same as 4 in parallel of the old ones. All right. They have a unique way of connecting. The routing of these high power traces is tricky, and on the FS140 they did a great job of minimizing that. And this one they got really clever. They used a little strap to route the hot lines up to a portion of these MOVs, and it gave them a third dimension by which you could route these high current traces around, which is clever. That's not conventional. You don't see that too often, but it's pretty clever. And then you see, you know, the top board here. So the bottom board's got the MOVs mounted on it, and the top board's got these indicators mounted on it. So all the little circuitry for the LEDs and for the alarm, which is on the bottom side under here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little speaker. And the other thing they have on here is they have expansion space for a third hot line. So maybe for like a 3-phase system. So it could be that what they did is they wanted to standardize the design where they could use, you know, conventional 2-phase house power or 3-phase by just adding in a couple of components, and they have the same, they can use the same general boards, which is great. So it might be a reusability thing, one reason that the design was done. Now the 3rd phase is not populated on this board. In the US, we only have 2 phases of power coming in, so we wouldn't need that. Anyway, you can see the design's very different. Large rectangular MOVs, got some capacitors. It's got a separate board for its indicators, its lights, and its speaker. All right, so distinctly different design than the original, which was a single heavy-duty PCB with parallel MOVs. All right, so interesting. I'm glad I took it apart. Now, I wasn't sure if they were going to look the same, but they don't. I can't say one is better than the other. It's really all about the specs, and we talked about those already, and both of them have very good specs. So it's just a different design, and I think both of them have their advantages and disadvantages, probably in terms of reliability and that sort of thing. But for right now, I just wanted to show you the differences so you can appreciate what the internals look like.